Hi everyone, welcome to PASHIE'S. And yes, it's the second episode of The Builder's Mind. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time, The Builder's Mind is a series that is mainly for creatives where we discuss the highs and lows of what it is to be a creative and how to stay sane, watch out for your mental health, and navigate this crazy world of being a creative. So yes, it's gonna be an awesome time. If you've not watched the very first episode, please go back and watch that. And just sit back, relax, and enjoy as we dive right into the conversation. I would be discussing a topic that I feel like a lot of us can relate to, and I title it "The Pressure to Stay Relevant." As creatives, it is one thing that a lot of us tend to do. We tend to feel like, should I take a break? In a world where we feel like consistency, it's the whole thing, the algorithm, the expectation from fans, the expectations from people. And there are times we take a pause and then we're like, if I stop posting, will people remember me? If I don't put out my content, is someone else going to come take up my place? Am I not going to be popular? Am I going to be dumped? And all of that. Yes, I feel you. We've all been there. We all feel these things. So how do we not put so much pressure to ourselves just to stay relevant? This is what we'll be discussing today. And yes, it's going to be interesting. Stay with me. Stay with me. So here are some of the reasons I feel like we as creatives tend to put ourselves under pressure. One, social media will be like, if you're not posting, you're going to be forgotten. Relax. I feel that too sometimes. There is this unseen force that makes us feel like if we don't post our content, if we don't give our audience what they expect of us, in less than a week or a month or a year, your craft is forgotten, like you do not exist. But that puts us at the edge where we just keep pushing ourselves to show up, and then without strategic planning, you end up burning out. So it's something that I know that a lot of us feel, but there is a proper way to manage and handle this feeling. So another thing I mentioned is the fear of being forgotten. It all kind of syncs with what I said at first, but it's a fear. We don't want to lose the audience we have built. We worked so hard to get here, so the idea of slowing down feels like we are throwing it all away. I understand that feeling because I've been there. And I know a lot of us feel that way too. And you're like, should I take a pause on my craft? If I do this, will I meet something? Will I meet anything? I can't sleep on myself. It's an actual feeling. But then, my darling, you have to take pauses. And there are reasonable ways to do this. So another point I mentioned is comparison is a thief. I read something funny, but I have to read through my notes. We said we see people in our industry dropping new contents, getting new gigs, getting engagements, landing gigs, and we're still wondering, am I doing enough? Who else asked themselves that question? I did. And shocker alert, my darling, you're doing just fine. But that's what doubt will make you do. Doubt will make you feel like you're not doing enough. So I feel like, and there are dangers to, just putting yourself under this pressure. So one of the dangers I mentioned of creative burnout is, first, you start to feel exhausted and then you still want to push through. I tell people, is it not better you rest and then come back and then do it better? Then do it stressed, tired, exhausted, in pain, and not get the desired result. This is a danger of creative burnout. Then another thing I mentioned is that the ideas stop coming. Yes. Suddenly creative feel like they're not getting fresh inspiration, they're not feeling motivated and all of that. The ideas stop coming because you're already experiencing a burnout. Sometimes we don't even know these things exist, but it's actually a thing. You start experiencing creative burnout because you've not rested enough, you've not given your body the chance to process all of these feelings. And we don't see it, we don't know it when we see it, we just ignore the feeling because we think we don't want to be lazy, or we don't want to be forgotten. But it's an actual feeling that your body calls for, and you always have to listen to it. So another danger of creative burnout is, I note here, is you don't even like what you are creating anymore. You are just doing it because you have to. Please, never let it get to that point. It's at that point you now feel so much pressure. You start comparing your work to that of other people. Okay, so how do we keep doing what we are doing without running to the ground? So I mentioned a few practical ways we as creatives could avoid burnouts and not feel the sudden pressure to stay relevant. Number one, and I feel like it's the most important, rest as if your creativity depends on it. Actually, it does. Yes, rest. I keep making emphasis on rest. Rest as if your creativity depends on it, because when you rest, when you take out time to rest, I know a lot of us will be like, I've not made the money yet, I'm not popular yet, I can't be taking rest, I can't be taking. You need it, because in order to get more inspiration, to get that motivation that you actually need, you need to have those alone time. You need to have those time where your mind is relaxed, there's not so much pressure, and you're thinking properly, you're thinking straight, you're not under any kind of pressure. So it is very important to always take rest in between work, to like reboot and think about it over and over again, which makes a whole lot of sense, because your body is going to love you for it, and your work is going to show that this one is the one who puts in so much work. Meanwhile, all you did was rest, you know, re-strategize, and then you came back bouncing and you did it because you rested. So, and number two, you need to set a sustainable plan. Actually, you don't have to post every day, that puts you under that certain pressure. You could post weekly or bi-weekly or a month. Just post in a way that is suitable for your brand and is suitable for what you do. So that way you get to create quality content. It's better. You don't have to be all grown and massive and you're a popular celebrity, or even if you are, you need to have that place where you have structures all planned out, and that way it's easy for you to just take out time and create quality content and everything. So another thing I mentioned is quality over quantity. So by now, for a lot of us, we want to just have, you just want to put it out there, you just want to put it out there. But how about you actually take out time? I know for a lot of us that are starters just like me, I know I know the vision that I have in my head for PASHIE'S Corner. I'm going to be sitting in big rooms and I'm going to be hosting big people. And I know there are days when I feel like, oh my God, I don't have the perfect phone. I don't have good lightning. Oh my God, this isn't the mic I want. Like all of those things where we feel like we're not where we ought to be yet. But it is okay to start with what you have. It is okay to now say, okay, this one that I have, other than having multiple contents that are not so relevant, I will take my time. I will use my resources. And this one that I'm going to create is going to make so much impact. It's going to be remarkable. It's going to be memorable. So that way, you will stay relevant. You would be seen. You don't even have to do so much publicity. You don't have to do so much advertisement. Your work will speak for itself. Okay. And my number 4 point that I mentioned is take breaks and don't feel guilty about it. It takes you back to my number one. I will never stop emphasizing on rest as a creative, because it is very, very, very important. It is very important. Take that break, go off social media, drop your phone, have a silent retreat, you know, be with your loved ones, be with your friends, just be quiet if need be, take out time and just reflect and just relax in between work and just be good. Yes, just be good. And lastly, engage smartly. Not every day fresh content, not every day post, not every day shooting. You could just go back to some of your old works, and that's why we have We have all of our socials, we have stories, we have question poll roles. You could do all of that. You just engage smartly. Just make sure you are keeping your audience engaged and they're seeing you, but you're not putting yourself under so much pressure to create. If you just come up with nice stories, something interactive, something to keep them engaged, right? So that way you are still there even if you're not creating fresh content. So I think I would be rounding up right now. So one thing I noted is staying relevant is cool, but not at the expense of your peace. Take care of yourself, pace yourself, and don't let the pressure steal your joy. Now, I hope this makes sense to someone. I hope this actually makes sense to someone. Now, I would say, and now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt a creative burnout and how did you overcome this? Please drop a comment. You will never know who is going to feel better based off how you overcome this, right? And yes, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your engagement on my previous posts. So please, please, please like, share, subscribe. This video is proudly sponsored by Now. And yes, for everyone who wants to know what this is about, please you can visit Flows.wtf to see all of the opportunities they are giving to creatives just like me and you. And until we meet again, bye for now.